Now, so your underlying energy, you have the Eight of Pentacles. So this is talking about work, and really putting in the effort and the time and, really looking at the situation in your relationships to be able to find a solution, right? This is the Apprentice card. So really focusing on what it is, it's a problem. And it's because of the Chariot. Now, when the Chariot comes up, especially underneath this, it's talking about there was a time where things were moving pretty fast, all right? And I think it was because a lot of things were just hitting an equal balance, right? There was a lot of, jostling and, teeter-tottering going on, but it was in the best sense possible because you guys had gotten to a place where there was some victory, okay? There was a good place to be. A lot of you guys could have even been dealing with a Cancer, but now it's time to really look at the details, really focus and put your heart and soul into this relationship and really figure out why things may not be working, what needs to be changed within yourselves, not necessarily within the relationship, but also what you guys may need to maintain the relationship in a good standing. Now, for your current state of being, you guys have the King of Pentacles. For a lot of you guys could be feeling like the King of Pentacles yourselves, but I'm not getting that. I feel like a lot of you guys are dealing with a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn right now. This state of being has a lot to do with your partner being a workaholic, okay? Or you guys are seeing them as someone that's workaholic, all right? The thing with the King of Pentacles is that they work very hard and very, routinely, disciplinedly, and hard because they feel like they can provide, they feel like with them working so hard, they'll be able to provide their person, their family with home, stability, security, things like that, right? They want to show their partners and show their families and show the people they care about them by pumping out as much materialized stuff as possible. It doesn't mean it's a good thing, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. They come from a good place usually. So with the King of Pentacles, I feel like a lot of you guys are dealing with people that either are working so much that they don't recognize that their relationship is falling through the cracks, or that there is a need for things to be worked on in the relationship. Maybe this person is showing stability in that maybe you're not really showing very grounded energy at this time. Or maybe you guys are working very much or working very hard and you guys are not really putting a lot of time into your relationships. It could go either way. Now, the reason why I definitely say it could be you guys and them is because you guys have the Hangman. There's a lot of waiting needed to be done here. And the goal is to see the situation from a different perspective, is to recognize what's going on. And I think maybe you just see one person in one way. Like I said before, with the King of Pentacles, he's focusing on money. He or she, okay, this doesn't have a sex stuck to it, okay? But I feel like with the Hangman as the goal, you want to see things from a different perspective. You want to get your conclusion from the situation to kind of help you make your, to help you move on, help you move forward. Because right now, things are looking very work-wise, okay? Especially with this Two of Pentacles crossing your way. The thing that's keeping you from the Hangman, from you seeing things from a different perspective, is because you are not looking in the right spot. Two of Pentacles indicates to me that there's a lot of juggling of things practically. There's a lot of practical decisions being made and not a lot of emotional stuff being made here. As you see the water behind it, behind the fence here. Gemini, right now, I get that there's this is really requiring you to look at your emotions, and I know Geminis, sometimes it can be a little bit much to want to go into that emotional field, the emotional aspect of yourself, because honestly, it's just too much. You have, you're the sign of duality, so you and Pisces, so that up and down spectrum of emotions is like whoop, 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 whoop. It's very extreme. So when it comes to looking at your emotions, it can be very daunting, but there's not a lot of looking at what's emotionally lacking there. It's always looking at what's practically not there. You're looking at the material of it, not the emotional of it. And that's where you might be kind of getting caught up here with the Hangman here in the future. In your goal is because you're not seeing things from the perspective that's necessarily needed to be seen. If you're going to be looking at looking at why your partner may be working so hard, working longer hours, may be pumping out more time and energy into their projects for as far as work goes, and trying to become become as stable as possible with money or material things, then you might want to come from a place of an emotional standpoint. You might want to look at why you might want to look at why this person is doing that emotionally rather than what they're doing, because what they're doing is not necessarily as important as how they feel about what they're doing and why they feel they need to do what they're doing. This could get you to the hangman very easily, very fast. It's going to require you to look at your emotions, and that's possibly why you're not looking at the emotional aspect of your partners, because you have to look at your own emotional aspects of yourself. And the reason why the Two of Pentacles is even here blocking your situation is because the Eight of Wands, things are just moving very fast, and it's a little bit overwhelming. I think honestly, like maybe the work stuff is pumping out so fast that you're not really getting the time to really look at everything clearly. But the thing is, things are clear. Things are happening very, straightforward. That's one thing about the Eight of Wands. It's very consistent. Things may be moving very fast. Things may be moving at a speed that's very overwhelming, but it's still very clear. It's still very clear. So it's all about how you handle it. And also, I feel like messages could be misinterpreted is because they're moving in so fast, and you're not looking at it the right way. Maybe you guys are seeing things very clearly, but you coming up with your own conclusions based off of not looking at your emotions, what's being really said. I feel like there's a lot of juggling of situations that just may not necessarily need to be juggled so much, and eventually you're gonna have to put one of these pentacles down and go ahead and make a decision and make a choice that really fulfills you emotionally. But until then, you got the arrows of love here too. Eight of Wands is the arrows of love. So you guys could be falling in love with this person. And obviously you guys may be already in love with this person, but most importantly, there's just so much that's going on right now. It's just it gets a little bit overwhelming, and I think that's why you're you're just kind of ignoring it and just kind of like going about your business, just focusing on what you can fix and what you can deal with, and not looking at your emotions because it's just too much to deal with. Your emotions are too overwhelming to deal with. Well, your advice is death. It's time to release whatever it is that's keeping you from being able to make the decision to go ahead and look at the situation from a different perspective. Your goal is to look at it from a different perspective. Well, you have to release some old disappointments. You have to release something that's keeping you from being able to see the perspective that you want to see, or at least get you to the conclusion to be able to fix and really work on what's lacking in the relationship, which could be the relationship emotional connection in itself. I'm not getting a lot of cups energy except for the Queen of Cups and the moon. The moon is not even a cup. The moon is emotions in itself, but it's like it's overwhelming, it's intense, and it's just like it's hard to see. But there's something that has to be let go of, okay? Gemini, there's something that has to be released right now. It could be you releasing, maybe feeling disappointed in the relationship. There's something that's keeping you from being able to look at the situation from all angles, from any set angle at all, from seeing the situation from their point of view, so that way you guys can both fix the dynamic. Because if they're working more in the relationship, that means that there may be something that you could do to help balance that out. Or at least can talk to this person about relaxing a little bit, because right now you're not looking at your emotions. Your emotions are overwhelming you, and it's just like it's keeping you from really getting to a relationship. It's getting you to a state of a relationship where you can be very happy, and it's because of a disappointment of some sort. So right now, disappointment, some old blockage that's keeping you from being able to have what you want, because there's something that's keeping the space there. Whatever is keeping space, you can't expect something new to come in. It's just impossible. It's like having an empty room and putting a bunch of rocks in there, and then wanting to put a bed there. Then after that, there's no room for the bed. If you want a bed in there, you have to take out all the heavy shit that doesn't really work for the situation. And that even means going through and, running into those rocks that you feel like, meant something really dear and close to you, and it may hurt. But sometimes it's a necessary process to just release things. Whatever is keeping you from seeing the perspective that you need to see has a lot to do with you, and whatever blockage that you're that's keeping you from seeing what it is that you need to see. Now, in your feelings, you have the moon. You're very confused right now. Like, you're very, very confused. You don't really know what the hell's going on. You just want to just see things the way they need to be seen. But right now, you're having to go with your intuition because, again, you're not looking at your emotions anyway. It's talking about trusting yourself. It's talking about trusting your emotions and really looking at what's keeping the blockage there, right? If you're not looking at your emotions, it can become overwhelming, right? But right now, you're gonna have to go through that dark period in your life where you're having to really feel through the situation as much as you feel through whatever it is that's keeping your emotions at bay, right? Right now, though, you feel confused. You feel like you just don't see things as clearly as they could be. And honestly, you feel overwhelmed, and the situation is very intense, and it's causing you guys a bit of distress, I feel. I mean, the Eight of Wands and the moon there, I'm like, all right, that's a lot of distressing energy. You may not be stressed out so completely, but you guys are feeling like, whoa, intense. This is intense. This can be very intense in itself. Where you guys want to be, though, is the Queen of Cups. You guys want to be in your emotions and feel vulnerable and be okay in your vulnerability. You guys want to know how you feel and express how you feel. You want to offer this cup to this person, this Pentacles person that's really stable. And really kind of give them, the love that they need. And also you want to receive the love that you deserve. But that requires you to be emotionally open, emotionally in tune to how you feel. You want to be in tune to how you feel, but if you're not in tune to how you feel, you're not even sure how you feel at all, then it's time to really look at what it is that's blocking you. And that's why you have to release some things that may keep you from seeing what it is that's blocking your emotions. Now, for your outcome, you guys have the World. And the World indicates that it's the completion of a cycle, but a successful completion of a cycle. So whatever is happening right now, it's a means to an end. But you have to see things from a different perspective in order to complete it, right? You have to complete the cycle to really work on with, this faulty, not necessarily faulty foundation, but really put in the hard work and the time and the effort to make this relationship work. This is the beautiful, the graduation card, okay? Because everything's done, nothing can be done here. And you did everything that you possibly could, and you feel good. You can feel good about it, or the situation will show happiness after this. But you have to be emotionally open to get there. Everything is showing me that you have to be emotionally open to get there. And if you're in the same mind, headspace as the person that you're having concerns about, with them focusing so much on work or focusing so much on practical stuff or material stuff, then how are you able to see them for who they really are? If you're focusing on practical stuff, if you're distracting yourself, if they are looking at material stuff, you're looking at material stuff. You kind of have to do something opposite to that to see where they're coming from. And if you need to ask them questions, it's important too. Go ahead and ask them questions. Because at the end of the day, what you want to be is, you want to get out of this hangman energy. You want to be like, okay, I see what I need to see here so I can release that. Because what happens after the hangman? Death. You see what is there. You see what's going on. You see what the clouds are, bringing behind that rain. And you release it with the death card. You release it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull your guys some romance angels. Okay. So yeah, Gemini, this is really talking about looking at your emotions. And I know that your emotions can be very unstable sometimes, and it can be very daunting to kind of having to go in there and look. But it's important right now, especially with your relationships and how you feel about your relationship. Because if you don't know how you feel about yourself, about your relationships, then this is what's going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to just kind of continue to be intense and overwhelming and kind of confusing because you just don't see it for what you need to see it for, which is through what your heart is trying to communicate to you. All right, Gemini, you have that one. Express your love. Wow. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. Okay. And I don't think it means just exactly make a romantic gesture. I feel like it's talking about, being open about how you feel, being open and vulnerable about how your emotions are affecting this, or how emotions are important in the relationship, not just affecting their relationship. Because honestly, I feel there's a lot of more practical stuff that's affecting this relationship. Nobody's expressing anything. Everybody's just focusing on work. You included, Gemini. And I think it's because you're just so pissed off and unhappy with where you are. And I don't think it's unhappiness, honestly. I feel like you're so confused and you don't really want to look at it, because it can hurt, because death is it can be very painful. It's very difficult energy to get into. But at the same time, again, it's overwhelming. Your emotions can be very overwhelming at this time. It's going to be hard, but it doesn't mean you don't do it. So Gemini, that could be you. And then also this person could really require you to look at them in a different perspective, you know what I mean? Approach them in a different way, in a different light, instead of kind of in a practical sense. If money is the only thing that you can talk about with this person, and if it's possible, express emotions instead. But you have to level out your emotions first. You have to figure out what you're feeling in order to be able to approach somebody with your emotions, with an emotional opening, right? If you're gonna hey, I feel like this, you have to know how you feel first, right? Because it doesn't make sense, right? To kind of start something you don't really have any information on your own, on your own standing, right? Okay, and you guys have practice compassion. See things from a different perspective. The Hangman and your goal. Yeah, guys. Okay. Your situation is calling you guys to see things from a different perspective and come from a place of compassion. Don't be pissed off with them, because this is just as much as you are. This is just as much coming from you as this is coming from them. But you have to show that you have love for them, especially if you're in a relationship with them. I get this frustrating that they kind of always think about the practical stuff, but they never give you that time. They're maybe focusing so much on that practical side that they just don't give you that emotional. They don't give you that emotional love. So show compassion right now. Understand their point of view. See where they're coming from and why they're doing everything that they're doing, because things can make more sense and it won't be so hurtful when they leave you alone, or they just kind of do things that they feel like they need to do to maintain stability for themselves. And that's the hard work. That's the difficult portion of this. This is the grunt work that's necessary to keep the relationship going and to make the relationship strong. Is if you can see through the hard exterior that the King of Pentacles puts on when he goes to work, or if he focuses on work. There's something that he's trying to release in himself, or there's something that he's trying to, prove to himself right now. And it's up to you whether you can support him or her on that or not. If it's just too much, but compassion is what's going to help you both. Be compassionate with yourself. You're not going to see things immediately. That's fair enough, right? But you have to be open emotionally in order to see that. And that's giving yourself compassion first before you give compassion to your partner. Give compassion to yourself first. Whatever you feel like you're lacking here, give compassion to yourself. And let that person know. Express your love. Express what you feel like you need in the relationship. And then let them open up and let them come out. If they don't, ask the questions. Ask what you need to know, so that way you can be able to move forward and be able to be like, okay, this is the ending of the cycle here. This is what's wrapping this stuff up. Can I move forward with this person or not? What do I need to know about this person to make me to provide me with stability, to make me feel comfortable and safe, and while being vulnerable in my emotions? All right, Gemini, I hope this reading made sense. I know it's crazy, but you guys can make it. Your emotions, I know it's hard to kind of get into. It's hard to kind of really it's a hard thing to do. It definitely is, but you can do it. It's all about approaching things from a different behavior, a different way of approaching things, right? Show compassion, express your love. Okay, you just have to remain strong and know what you feel. Because until you know how you feel approaching a situation or releasing a situation for releasing all disappointments, etc., it's going to be a lot more difficult.